Welcome back. They can spend in seconds what would take most of us a lifetime to earn. Russian oligarchs have mind-boggling wealth, but they are now global economic pariahs who risk losing their fortunes to the West and, if they speak out, their lives to the Kremlin.
In 1997, Forbes put the first for Russians on the world's billionaires list. These earliest oligarchs got rich during the chaotic privatization of the 1990s, acquiring state-owned assets for pennies. After Vladimir Putin rose to power in 2000, he helped make a number of them richer and rewarded his closest cronies by turning them into billionaires.
We've found £1.5 billion worth of UK property that's owned by Russians who are either connected to corruption or have close ties to the Kremlin.
Now everyone is asking, who are those Russian oligarchs, and what assets do they own? So in this video, we are going to see the richest Russians billionaires we consider to be oligarchs. Number 5. Roman Abramovich. From penniless orphan to a sanctioned sports mogul outcast, Abramovich embodies the possibilities and pitfalls of Russian oligarch. He hustled his way into business, while catching a big break in 1995 when he partnered with a Russian billionaire Boris Berezovsky to take control of oil giant called Sibneft. Abramovich snagged his mentor's shares, cashing out his fortune that stand at $13.1 billion. Abramovich is known for living large and spending big on his beloved Chelsea Football Club, giving more than $500 million to Jewish causes. He spent much of his time outside Russia and obtained passports from both Israel and Portugal.
For some time been complaining about the number of homes in our city owned by Russian oligarchs close to Putin.
Surely Mr. Abramovich should no longer be able to own a football club in this country.
Abramovich, who facilitated early talks between Russia and Ukraine, was possibly poisoned while in Kiev recently. At least 4 of his assets, including Chelsea, a Gulfstream G650 jet and a 15-bedroom London mansion worth over $140 million, have been frozen, even though he sold Chelsea before the deadline day. His 2 yachts, worth $900 million, are docked out of reach in Turkey. And despite all that, the billionaire still enjoys his life as if nothing happened to him. Number 4. Alisher Usmanov. Here comes another oligarch who was sanctioned. The Uzbekistan-born Usmanov made his first fortune from manufacturing plastic bags in the late 1980s. He later bought shares in a metals firm that eventually morphed into iron ore and steel giant Metaloinvest in 2009. While chairing an investment subsidiary of state-owned Gazprom, Usmanov invested in Facebook and other tech startups alongside Yuri Milner, who is now a prominent Silicon Valley VC. His $600 million mega yacht, Dilbar, is stuck in the German port of Hamburg due to sanctions. In a statement, Usmanov called the sanctions unfair and pledged to use all legal means to protect his honor and reputation. Number 3. Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is a former Soviet bureaucrat. He served briefly as Boris Yeltsin's deputy prime minister in 1996 and 1997. And helped oversee the privatization of various state-run enterprises. Putin spent $2.5 billion developing a ski resort, snowboard park and freestyle skiing center for the 2014 Olympics. He runs Norilsk Nickel, one of the world's largest nickel producer. Following Russia's attack on Ukraine, he stepped down from the board of the Guggenheim Museum Foundation, on which he served for 2 decades. But his lavish lifestyle has been hidden from the public eye following the sanction being placed on all Russian businessmen and women. Number 2. Andrei Melnichenko. Melnichenko is the son of a Soviet physicist who dropped out of college when the Soviet Union fell in 1991 to start a chain of currency exchange booths. 2 years later, he founded MDM Bank, which became one of Russia's most successful private banks. He later expanded into fertilizer and coal business to a higher level. His 2 yachts, including the world's largest sail-assisted yacht, have been frozen by authorities in Italy, and according to Forbes reporting, Melnichenko is not an oligarch because he built an independent fortune without ties to the Russian government under Vladimir Putin. He was included on this list because he has been sanctioned. In a statement, a spokesperson for Melnichenko called the EU sanctions absurd and nonsensical, adding that they will be disputed. Number 1. Oleg Deripaska. Oleg Deripaska merged his Siberian aluminum with the aluminum assets of Roman Abramovich's Millhouse Capital to form Rusal in 2000. His ex-wife was Boris Yeltsin's step-granddaughter, and he holds a diplomatic passport. The US Treasury hit both him and Rusal with sanctions in 2018. The measures against Rusal were lifted that December after Deripaska reduced his ownership to below 50%. He sued in American courts to challenge the sanctions in March 2019. In June 2021, a district court judge in Washington, D.C., dismissed his lawsuit. Deripaska owns nearly $1.4 billion of overseas properties, including a $21 million mansion in Washington, D.C. and a house in London's Belgravia Square. His yacht was last glimpsed in the Maldives, following the sanction. Oleg Vladimirovich Deripaska was born on January 2, 1968. He is a Russian oligarch and billionaire. Deripaska enriched himself on previously state-owned assets that were privatized in the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Following the court hearing, the U.S. Treasury placed sanctions on all Russian citizens and their companies. These sanctions were said to be trying to evade U.S. scheme, which led to the unfrozen of more than $1.5 billion assets belonging to Russian metals tycoon Oleg Deripaska. While his company is worth over $3 billion, he was placed under U.S. sanctions in April 2018, branched out into metals trading as the Soviet Union crumbled, making a fortune by buying up stakes in aluminum factories, and early this year, Forbes ranked his fortune at $2.8 billion. The Treasury said that in June 2023 Deripaska coordinated with Russian citizens Dmitry Beloglazov, the owner of Russia-based financial services firm, on a planned transaction to sell Deripaska's frozen shares to an European company. Within weeks of this, Russia-based financial services firm was set up as a subsidiary of Titel. Early in 2024, Iliadis acquired Russia-based investment holding company, along with joint stock company, which holds Deripaska's frozen shares for $4.5 billion. The U.S. Treasury on their statement said that sanctions were imposed on Oleg Deripaska for operating or having operated in Russia's financial services sector. It said Rasperia was sanctioned for being owned or controlled by Oleg Deripaska and his group, and this led to the collapse of this billionaire's wealth and some of other Russian billionaires. So to you watching this video, what do you think about this sanctions being placed on these Russians billionaires, or do you think that Vladimir Putin shouldn't have invaded Ukraine the way he did? Let me know in the comment below, and don't forget to drop a like on this video and make sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and if you want to watch more videos regarding Vladimir Putin's wealth, click on these 2 videos showing on your screen right now. Thanks and see you there.